There was no question when I went to Iowa that my education was absolutely on par with anything. There was, nobody had anything on us as grads. And I think that's probably true. That's still true. It's a great education. The pharmacy program was very well respected, and the number of schools of pharmacy at that time was small, much smaller than it is now. So there was a good network among the academicians for the various schools. So I think we got professionalized fairly early into the fact of what pharmacy was like, and felt, it wasn't just Ferris Pharmacy or Michigan Pharmacy. It was more national pharmacy. As much as can happen with when you're that young, which was a long time ago. Well, there was a pharmacist in my town, which was Pentwater, Michigan, and he was very encouraging about looking at pharmacy and looking at Ferris, because he was a Ferris grad. I think one of the key features for me at the time, as was probably lots of students, was the fact that Ferris was so accessible. Ferris was so accessible. And in pharmacy, our other choices were Wayne State and the University of Michigan. And for many students that came from small towns, like I did, there is some hesitation about perhaps going to downtown Detroit and feeling comfortable, or feeling that this is a place where you could live and thrive and work well. It's wonderful that so much of it that was here when I was here is still here. We can look at the same dorms that we lived in. We can look at the same buildings we're in, classes, and notice, everything else is new. But actually, to see all the pieces that are still there. Ferris was physically quite young when I started here. I was mentioning to my friend that how little the trees were. All the trees when we came to campus were about 10 feet tall. They were not much taller than we were, and now of course they're huge landscaping specimens. Well, primarily through pharmacy, because we all go to the same national meetings. We see each other. A very special link that I've had in the last 2 years is an individual who had actually taken a course with me where we go to Mexico, just got turned on for global experiences and serving the underserved internationally. And when she graduated from Iowa, she chose a residency at a hospital in Michigan that has a link with a hospital in a developing country, specifically because she wanted to keep that caring for the underserved internationally as part of her focus. And she's now a Ferris instructor. And even better than that, she took 2 Ferris pharmacy students with herself and came to our spring trip to Mexico this year. So we now have this linkage between the University of Iowa and Ferris, and those students came in through distance education technology to our lectures, and then were with us in Mexico when we delivered essentially this service learning project there. So that really has been one of the most rewarding things I've had, and a very strong link back to Ferris that I'm so pleased. It wouldn't, it could have been any other school, but it was just so special to me that it was Ferris. I'm an administrator, and most of my day is meetings. What I'm responsible for is assessment, which is quality assurance in the College of Pharmacy. We are accredited separately from the university or colleges of pharmacy are. And so it's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of working with the assessment committee, with the curriculum committee. And I am fortunate to have one of those offices on the first floor that every student goes by as they go to and from classes. And those students who are interested particularly in global health and international activities are always popping in and saying, what about this, what about this? So I have a lot of student contact, actually more student contact than I used to. And I really like sort of working in the area of quality assurance. Believe it or not, that's not that far removed from being in drug information, where it's all about evidence too. I think the thing that I do see in alums is that with all of us, those early years when you're in your career are probably the most difficult in terms of staying engaged with an academic institution, because you've got a new job, you're trying to build your career, you probably have gotten married, you may have a family coming and still moving and stuff, so that, and you're trying to establish yourself within your community. And so in the contact that you have with your school at that time probably is more with your roommates and your classmates and that they were people you hung out with. But I think after that big wave of getting some of those things in order, people then have a chance to maybe reflect back a little bit and start thinking about what it meant to them, what they can do. They start thinking more in terms of, I took away a lot, and now I've got a lot in terms of my life and where it's going, and maybe it's time to think about supporting stuff. They may also be at the point in their career where it's easier to take off a little bit of time and physically get involved with some things, where before it just, you just can't take that time. My decision to come here was the ability to come to Ferris, to have it be accessible, to have a school of pharmacy where you are going to know all of the faculty members, where you're going to be able to participate in all of the activities that are important to pharmacy students. And you'll make that transition between thinking of yourself as being a pharmacy student to thinking of yourself as being a student pharmacist, which is a different mindset. When you come into the College of Pharmacy at Ferris, you are entering not an undergraduate program, but you're entering a professional school. And the expectations will be quite different than what you would have if you were in an undergraduate program. But also the rewards and the benefits then and where you can go with your career will also be much bigger and broader and wider. We pledge allegiance